Hello and welcome back to another video. Today I'm going to be playing around with and reviewing these acrylic markers, but originally I was going to be comparing these to my Posca markers. I have a few of those, but I was actually having some troubles with them, so I'll show you that in a minute. So I'm going to end up just playing with these and reviewing these, but if you do want a comparison to Posca markers or other acrylic markers in the future, let me know in the comments down below. I do really like the box that this comes in. Now, this is the 240 set. I got this on sale on Prime Day, I believe. So you definitely don't need to start with a set this big, but these were just really cheap. And I do like this box for a couple of reasons. Now, it does come with its own swatch card. I didn't use this. I ended up swatching them separately on a card, so I will show you that in a minute. But it also comes with some spare nibs. So I thought this was really neat, especially for how cheap these markers are compared to some other brands, that they give you some extra nibs. So I suppose if you're going through extra, like a certain color very often, you can take it out and put a new nib in. Now I'm curious to see if you can get these separately. So I'll have to look into that, and maybe I'll leave like a little caption down here if I can find anything about that. But what I really like about this box is you're actually meant to store them on its side like this, and I suppose you can store it with the lid on, or you can store it just like this if you're using it, and then you can pull out, you know, whatever marker you want to use. I guess it's a little more difficult while they're on their side to pull them out. But that's kind of neat because they are meant to be stored on their side. Now, they already came separated in some kind of color family, so I left them like this. So I'll go ahead and show you the swatches that I did. So this is all of the colors right here. And honestly, they all swatched really well. The only marker that I had troubles with, and I honestly didn't have troubles with it, this 763 was the only one that swatched a little bit differently. Like all of the other ones are a little bit more opaque. Like you can tell there's some white mixed into them. This one, it's solid, but like there's almost like a little bit of shininess on top of it. Now I don't mind that, but that's the only marker that I noticed was different out of this set. One thing I really like, so I'm going to show you this real quick. This was when I was trying to reprime my Posca markers, and they were just making a mess, going everywhere, and they were still, even though a lot of ink was coming out, they were still very dry. So I don't know if it's because I've had them for a while, but I really like these markers for a couple of reasons. Now we have the number on the cap, and we see the color here. Now let me find this one here. So if you look at that, it's close. I mean, it's not a perfect match, but it's pretty close. But you can see the color on the barrel as well here. Again, it's not a perfect match, but it's pretty close. Now, when you do shake these do have the ball inside. But one thing I love them is you don't have to do that pump and priming thing. They're ready to go. Like that is so convenient. And especially when you have this many colors, that I don't have to sit there and pump and pump and pump and wait for it to come out, and then a whole glob comes out and I feel like I've wasted half the marker. These are just ready to go. So I really like that about them. Now I've gone ahead and scanned this too, and I will make this available to my Patreon members, the scanned version, in case you're curious of what colors come in this set, or you get it and you don't want to do your own swatch card. I will have that available for you. But I did draw a black line in each of these areas. So the same pen that I used, I just used this Micron pen. It's waterproof ink. And I use that to write the numbers and to do the little line. So you can see most of these are pretty opaque. And then I started going over top a couple of them with a second layer. And as you can see here, they layer so smoothly over top of each other, and they become even more opaque. So I didn't bother doing all of them for a second layer. Now let's just talk about the color selection for a minute, and then we'll get into testing and playing with these markers. And then I will end up doing an artwork at the end. So I feel like it has a pretty good color range. We've got lots of greens and blues, lots of browns. The yellows, we've got a few bright yellows, but I feel like some of the yellows are lacking. We have lots of pinks, some nice reds. The purple range is really nice. We have like some beigey, more muted colors. One color I feel like we're really missing is orange. We have a couple of like orange-ish colors. Like I would say there's a yellow orange, bit of an orange, maybe that one too. We do have a pyrrole orange kind of color here. So I'm wondering like if we mix the two together, will it give me that bright orange? So I feel like that's really the only one that we're looking for. We do have sort of like a lemon yellow, a little bit darker, a warm yellow, lots of green yellows. So we do have variety of all the other colors, but I feel like the oranges are just lacking a little bit. But if that's not a color that you use a whole lot, then that might not be a big deal for you. But we are going to be playing around and see if we can mix some of these colors because acrylic markers should act like acrylics. So you should be able to take them and mix colors together. So I'll definitely be trying that out. So let's just get into playing with these markers and see what they can do. Okay, so I wanted to test how these will hold up on black paper because we did the little swatch test here with the line, but I wanted to see how they would actually go. So I just have the Strathmore black mixed media paper. This is 184-pound paper. So this will handle a little bit of water. And I just pulled out one marker from each grouping here, and I tried to get a variety of lighter and darker colors. So we're going to start with this light green here, and I just want to see, oh, that actually shows up pretty good. I wasn't expecting it to be that bright. Okay. Now I'm noticing they're slightly streaky on this paper, and I'm wondering if this is a little bit of a smoother paper than this is. So this is the Ohuhu mixed media paper. Let me see. Yeah, it's the Ohuhu 120-pound mixed media paper, and it's a bit thinner, but it is a little bit toothier, where this is a little, I really feel like this is a little smoother, but none of the swatches here came out streaky at all. Even this one, it's not streaky. It's just got a little bit of a different like look to it. But these all came out very smooth, even when I was layering on top of them. None of them came out streaky. So I'm going to let those dry, and maybe I'll come over top and do a second layer. Or maybe if I just take my time and try to do a little bit of a smoother layer. Yeah, it kind of layers over top a little bit better. But I'm doing this quick because I just want to see how these are going to show up. So this is a nice blue. Okay. I'm kind of impressed. I honestly wasn't sure how well. Well, this almost looks white, but this is a very light, like seafoam kind of color, like a very light green. But I do notice like the more you're going over it where it's wet, it is kind of just not putting down any more color. And it is kind of, it does peel the paper a little bit the more you do in one area, so we'll let it dry. This is a yellow. Oh, that yellow stands out nicely. And I've got, oh, this is that dark blue. Yeah, this one, it's so weird. You can see how quick it's drying here too. This almost reminds me more of like an alcohol or a water-based marker rather than an acrylic marker, because you can see all the other colors have white added into it except for this one. But I still really like this color, so I'm not mad about it, but it's just weird. And I think the red might, I grabbed the red too to see how it looked. So that's a pink color there. This is that red. It was a little bit more translucent too, but even this has a little bit more punch to it than that blue. And then we've got a light purple here. And again, the very light ones aren't showing up. But now that it's drying, honestly, I can see more of that blue-green, so we'll have to see how that one dries. And then this is our white. Let's do this up here. And I did notice this white, I would say it's a little bit more translucent, like even compared to the Posca white. Let me grab that. So this is the Posca white here. And yeah, you can see this is a lot more opaque with just one layer. So let's just try layering over. I'm going to go over half of it again. Oh, and that just really kind of smooths it out. So I'm just going to do this real quick. I might speed this up. So they layered really great on top of each other, as you can see. So because these are a water-based ink, acrylic is a water-based ink, I want to see how these are going to blend just with the markers, and then I want to see how they're going to blend if we use a little bit of water with them. And maybe you could do a wash and then come on top with some other colors or mix colors together. So that's what I'm going to try right now. So I'm going to take this lighter color, and then I'm going to take this a little bit darker, and I just want to see if I kind of go back and forth. Now I don't want to have the lighter color so I'm just going back and forth almost like I would with alcohol markers, because you kind of want that transition in the middle. And I mean, for markers that are, you know, opaque and thick, I feel like that's pretty nice. We'll wait and let that dry. So I'm going to try this again with two markers. So this is that orangey color here. Actually, these two colors were, I believe it was this one, 818 and 819. And then this one is the 725. And I'm going to try the 782 just to see if I can get sort of like an orangey color. And what I'm going to do here is use an acrylic palette, like a or porcelain palette. And I'm going to just lay these down like I would like paint. So if you were using gouache or acrylic, and I'm just going to mix them together. Now you could mix them, you could probably mix them right on the palette itself. I'm just going to get my brush a little bit wet and just kind of mix them together and see if I can't get sort of a brighter orange color that I'm looking for. Oh, I definitely need more water. So that's more watered down. And let me see, this was the first one, this was the second one. So I probably could do, actually I probably could add in more of the second one. So let's just add that right in there. And that's giving me more of a nice orange color. Now I wonder if I add some white into the mix, is that going to help make it more opaque? So let's, now it's probably just going to make it more pastel again. Yeah, just kind of made it a little bit more pastel, but that is pretty neat that you can take them and use them almost like watercolor. Any water-based medium should be able to be used with water like this. So even if you wanted to do a wash, so let's say I've got this dark purple here. If I just wanted to do a wash in the background, so I can grab this, I can do a nice purple wash. I may have had a little bit of orange still left on that brush. That's okay. And then you can let that dry and come over top of it with another color. I really like that. Now I want to try maybe the darker red. So let's grab this one here. Now I want to see if I add this in with the orange because this is much darker. Is it going to give me that vibrancy that I'm looking for? I think there's still a little bit of white in there too. I might need more. Yeah, I think I still had a little bit too much white in there, but it works. Now I want to see if I just lay down the purple and then go in with water, can I drag that color out a bit? I can, but it starts to dry so fast you can almost see a little bit of it sticking to the paper. So you have to work really fast. And I want to see if I lay these down. So I'm going to lay that very light blue. Oh, I had a little bit of the dark blue on there. And then a little bit of the dark blue. And if I quickly come in with this, can I get a bit of a smoother wash? So that works too. It takes a little bit more of the color up, but I like both ways. So that's just some ways that you can like sort of incorporate water, playing with these, mixing on a palette. I kind of like mixing the two colors together and using them like that, but I don't know if I would blend them like this. I think I prefer just using the markers to blend them. I wanted to see if we come over top with this, let's just do that. It does layer over top of it. I wouldn't, it might be a little bit more opaque because this is more of a wash. So now that we've seen some ways that we can use these markers, because I've seen a lot of people just use the markers together, but I've not seen them blending them or use water with them. But because they are acrylic based markers, it works just fine. Oh, and I just wanted to show you real quick, in case you're worried that your markers might ruin your palettes, they do come off because they are acrylic on a smooth surface. They will come right off, and if you have them on a little bit thicker, you can just put some water in the bottom of the palette and it'll soak off and it'll come off in like a piece of plastic. Now don't put that down your sink. You're going to want to dispose of that how you should dispose of paints in your area. But just so you can see, these will come off no problem. As long as it's a smooth surface like this, then you'll have no problem getting them off. So I think I'm going to jump into doing some kind of art with these markers now that I've tested them a little bit and I sort of have a feel for how I can use them. So let's jump into that. So for this artwork, I'm using my Strathmore sketchbook. This is the soft cover sketchbook, and I really do like the paper in this. It's 100% cotton, so I wanted to give these markers their best chance. Now, I decided to do pumpkins because I was saying that the only color I felt was lacking in this set was the oranges. So I wanted to see how vibrant of orange I could get. So I decided to go with that first wash layer at the beginning, and I'm using a very warm yellow and a very warm red just to get a little bit of that vibrant orange on the page. And then you'll see as I start layering all of the other colors, I really am able to get that nice vibrant pumpkin orange look at the end of this. Now for this, I decided to go a little bit more sketchy on my pumpkins, so where I'm just blocking in colors, and I really like how the end result came out. Now I tried different ways of layering these markers on this paper. So I started with my lights and I went to the darks, and then on other pumpkins I started with the darks and went to the lights. and they both layered perfectly. I actually really like the white in this set because you'll see as I'm putting some of the white highlights on, it's not so opaque that it stands out very stark. So it kind of blends in a little bit better. It takes a little bit of the color underneath and tints the white. So I do like that about it, but if you did want a super opaque white, you may have to layer this one up, or you might want to go to another brand that has a more opaque white. And you'll see as I'm layering these markers up on the pumpkins, some of the pumpkins I go in quite a few times and they layer just fine. I didn't have any of the paper peel on me at all. And I did use that very dark blue in the background, and I actually really like that color. And once that dark blue dried on this paper, it still has the same look as the other markers on the paper. So I'm not sure why on my Ohuhu paper, when I swatched them out, it had a little bit of a different look to it. But on this look, it has the same sort of look, if that makes sense. So maybe it depends on what paper you're using with that marker. Now, this set has a huge color range. I feel like you really don't need all of these colors, but it does give you a chance to try out different colors. And the one nice thing about this big set, though, I feel like if you do end up running out of a certain color, there's probably a color that's pretty close to it that you could use. And if you do run out of one certain color, you can always go and buy that in an open stock marker. So this is a nice set just to try out and see what colors you end up using most often. I honestly just really enjoyed making this artwork, and I know I'm going to be using these markers a lot more, probably in my sketchbooks, because I really do like this more blocky look when I'm using a more opaque medium. But that doesn't mean you can't make a realistic piece with this either. These pumpkins do look realistic, as you'll see with these pumpkins when you focus on your lights and your shadows. Even though I'm not blending and trying to make them super realistic, they still look realistic. So I feel that makes these markers very versatile. And the fact that you can also use water with them, they take water very well, they blend very well. So even if you do get a set that has less colors in it, you'll still be able to blend them to get some colors that you might not have. Also, the fact that I found more replacement nibs available on Amazon, I think they came in a 20 pack or a 30 pack of just the nibs for these markers, is fantastic because most brands don't have that available. So that makes me believe that these markers will last long enough that I'll have to replace the tip of them before the ink will dry out. And they do seem like they have a good amount of ink in them. They flow really nicely. Like, honestly, I'm just really impressed with these markers. So let me show you the artwork I created and give you my final thoughts, and we'll wrap up this video. So these were the two artworks that I completed with these markers. Now you guys saw the speed draw of these pumpkins up here, but I wanted to be able to use more colors and kind of really get a better feel of these markers, so I decided to do these more colorful pumpkins down here. Obviously, I was in a pumpkin mood. You can see all of the colors that I've used here on the side for these. This I'll probably end up doing like a sketchbook video type thing where we kind of do this in our sketchbook. But I just wanted to show you both images. I really like how they turned out. We have like a little bit more of a realistic, but still sketchy look, and I really like how these bright colors came out. So my overall thoughts for these markers, I had a blast using these. I'm actually pleasantly surprised, and I'm really glad that I went with this set. Not only do they have lots of great colors, they perform really well. I had no issues with any of the markers. The only one I have anything to say about is the white. It's not quite as opaque, but I did come in at the end on these little lighter pumpkins here and go in with my Posca white just to create some of the little brightest areas, because the lightest areas on these pumpkins are so light that white was having a hard time showing up. Now the white showed up on these pumpkins just fine, but it's because it's over top of a darker color. So keep that in mind. So if this is the only set you're going to have, you may want to invest in a more opaque white. But like I was saying here, I really like that it's sort of gets that color from underneath a little bit, so it's not so stark white. You have a little bit of that color showing through, so it almost makes it more of like a realistic highlight. So I do like that too, but overall, I'm really enjoying these markers. I really want to try them on some other surfaces. So if you're interested in that, let me know, because I think they can be used on glass and wood. Let me see what it says here. Paper, timber, rock, ceramic, glass, and canvas. Ooh, we might have to try them on canvas too. But yeah, I've got some ideas of how I want to use these markers. So let me know down in the comments below what else you would like to see with these markers. And thank you so much for watching. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Bye.